Well, welcome everybody to the third installment of our webinar series, our fall webinar series. Tonight we are proud to host Lindsay Young, the fabulous Lindsay Young, and all of the wonderful things that she can do. I've had the privilege, along with Megan, to listen to some of the wonderful things that she's done in her classroom, as well as some of the other participants here from our remote summer institute. But she's going to talk to you tonight about synchronous and asynchronous activities. She's got lots of really good stuff, and I'm looking forward to learning with you alongside Lindsay. And when you get a chance, if you could follow us on Twitter at Chippewa River WP and also on Facebook, that would be fantastic. And Lindsay, I'm going to hand over the reins to you and let you go ahead and get started. I would introduce Becky, but she's in the WebEx room right now trying to get people over here.
All right, perfect. Well, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it so much, especially this late at night, which is for me almost past my bedtime. And I'm not even kidding you right now. It is actually almost past my bedtime. So we'll get right to it. So I'm going to be presenting today about asynchronous, synchronous activities. So the first part is going to be me like talking a little bit, and then you guys will be kind of more interacting, because I think the best way to learn, as Troy says in Troy fashion, is by doing. So best way of learning is doing. So I'm going to share my screen with you guys. I have so many things up here. Let's see. I know why. Give me a second. There we go. I'm going to stop sharing again. WebEx is like taking over my screen apparently with everything there. Okay, there we go. All right, so let me get back to my first slide here. All right, so again, I'll be presenting about asynchronous, synchronous instruction. Just a little about me here. My name is Lindsay Young. I teach at North Branch Elementary School. I teach third grade language arts, and here's my email and my Twitter, and I will be sharing the slideshow. So in case you guys have questions or want to contact me, I'm happy to help in any possible way I can. So there's this information will be on here. So personal struggles with online learning. I know I've had them. I'm sure you have too in remote learning. So a lot of my personal struggles I had when we had to go remote in March and figure it out. Keeping kids engaged. One of the other issues was too many tabs. Kids would be getting lost because you want them to do all these things, and then the time would already be done. And then there is so little time with everything going on. I feel like you start teaching in a remote setting, and then by the time you get the kids exactly where you want them, it's already time to be done. And then you feel like you have got absolutely nothing done. So I just put a little funny little meme here. So expectation of what we want, and you want them to look like this. You want them to be engaged, smiling, happy. And the reality is, I know at the start when I taught, this is how the kids looked, and it like killed me inside. So I was struggling. I was like, I want the kids to be engaged. I want them to be learning with me. I know the best way of learning is discussing. How do you do that in an online setting? It was so difficult. So if you have these struggles, or if you had these struggles, hopefully this presentation will help you with getting kids more engaged in the online learning format. So some of the digital tools we'll be talking about today, Pear Deck, Flipgrid, Concept Board, and Padlet. So these will be kind of the technologies we'll talk about today. I'll go a little bit more in depth with these to kind of tell you. Some of them you might have heard of, some of them you might not have. So I'll hopefully be teaching you something new tonight that you can use in your own classroom or in a remote setting. All right, so the best way of learning is doing. So I'm going to be putting in the chat a link to the Pear Deck that I'll be doing. And Pear Deck is an online extension or add-on from Google Slides, and it makes all your slides interactive. So kids can be doing things alongside with you as you're going through your presentation. So let me get up my chat here. Actually, I'll stop sharing my screen. It makes it a lot easier here. So you guys can go ahead and click on that, and it'll bring you right to the Pear Deck. It's going to ask you how you're feeling today. So hopefully you're feeling fantastic. And then it'll bring you right to the slide. As you guys are signing in, I'm able to see if you're signing in or not and see how many people are able to, or I'm able to see how many kids or people join. So students, you at this time, I'm able to see that as you guys are logging in to the Pear Deck. And what's really nice about this is you can make it so students have to sign in or don't have to sign in. So anybody really can just click on this link. It goes right to your slideshow and they are in it with you, which is really, really nice, especially since I teach third grade. What makes it really easier is students being instantly able to get into my slideshow. So there's no login, there's no time wasted. You are just in it and you're ready to go, which is really nice. All right, so we're going to keep moving here. So this is just going over Pear Deck features. So things that are really nice. Students can respond in multiple ways. And if you've noticed, your slide's now moved because you're moving along with me. You control it as we go. So students can respond in multiple ways. There's a choice for multiple choice. You could do a written response or a number answer. You can integrate other applications into Pear Deck as you go. So you can integrate Flipgrid, Padlet, and Concept Board, which I'll be showing you tonight. So how to integrate those into Pear Deck, this slideshow. No student logins are required, and students, you can see their responses in real time. So as the students are responding to the multiple choice or the written response or the numbers, you can do it. And this, friends, is absolutely free. Pear Deck is absolutely free. There's no paying at all, except for the premium features, which is drawing. But I will go over that because there's workarounds to get away from those premium features. It's very similar to Nearpod. The reason I went to Pear Deck and not Nearpod is because you can only have a limited amount of students in Nearpod, and then you have to pay money after a certain amount of students. Where Pear Deck, you can put as many kids in here as you need to, and there's no fee. So, and then the last part is it's free Google Slides, like I said, and there's workaround for these premium options. So if you notice on the slide, the draw tool and the draggable, they say premium, there's little stars, but there are other tools that you can integrate into Pear Deck where you can make it so you can do the same exact things as draw and draggable, and it's basically the same thing. And I'll kind of talk about that with these other integrated applications you could put into Pear Deck. All right, so what you're going to notice is I have integrated a video into this slideshow. So the video, it kind of goes over what Pear Deck is, and you could watch it on your own, but just for time's sake, I can kind of show you guys a video. It just kind of goes over what I kind of talked about. But this is just kind of showing you what this video would look like. So if you integrated a video into Pear Deck, you would see the video on your right-hand side and you'd be able to watch that. And like I said, it kind of shows you or tells you the same things I'm telling you right now. It just says this is an interactive tool. It tells you kind of about how you move along with your students. It's engaging. That's kind of what it goes over. So it's kind of the same things I've been talking about, but I will still show you the video because I think it is a good example of what this looks like. So I will share my screen with you guys. So give me a second here. So I'll be taking over your screen again. Sorry. It's not going to be. It's not going to play right now.
If it's not cooperating for you, Lindsay, I just pulled it up in another browser tab, so I could probably play it for you if you need me to.
I'm going to say that'll work if you want to. So I'll stop sharing.
All right, yeah. Well, hey, no problem. Tonight is all about flexibility, patience, and teamwork. It's all good.
Oh, no,
all right,
no.
let us know.
Pear Deck will change the way you present slide decks.
Pear Deck will change the way you present slide decks in a live classroom setting. When you hit Start Presenting in Pear Deck, you're creating a live session for participants to join on their own computer, tablet, or smartphone. As the instructor, you control the flow of the presentation from your computer or tablet. On their devices, participants can respond to your pre-planned or impromptu questions throughout the presentation with a number of unique interaction types. Those responses can then be shared anonymously and in real time on your classroom projector or interactive whiteboard. From your device, you can isolate individual answers, toggle responses, and even do cool things like overlay all of the drawings your students have shared. Let's walk through a session to find out how.
You guys should stop there. That's perfect. All right, so basically that's just an activity I do with my kids. Sometimes I will have them watch the video, and then I will have them kind of turn and talk, or through virtual, I really like to do what you notice and wonder. So you're going to notice that on your Pear Deck, it's now changed, and this is an option where you can have a written response, which is the ABC button on Pear Deck. So that's why I kind of put the buttons in the corner so you guys know what kind of button you're using or the way you're integrating it. So on Pear Deck, it gives you these options. So this would be the ABC text. So you're going to be able to put name, what did you notice, what did you wonder in the video. So if you guys want to try that out, putting in your responses into the Pear Deck, you can totally do that. And as you're responding, I can see what you guys are saying. So I see your names are going up. I see Megan's on there. I see Lisa. The kids can interact by Janet writing. So I can see all your responses as you are typing. And this is great for discussion too. When students are done with their writing and you're giving them time, you can share your screen and say, hey, you know, I noticed you said this. I think you should be sharing. You should definitely share it with the group. And then that could kind of create that interaction and that communication with your students, which I think is huge. So this is just one of the many tools that you can use through Pear Deck, which is really nice. And it's really nice that it is in real time. So you can see everything that people are saying in this real time. And then these responses that you have will be saved and they go right to your Google Drive. So you can actually get these responses. You'll be able to check back and you can look the responses in case you want to use this as some sort of formative assessment as you're going through your instruction. So these are saved right to your Google Drive, so you can go back and look at those. Perfect. And I'm sorry to cut some people's responses short. I'm really sorry, but I was going to actually show you guys kind of what it looked like from my end too, just so you guys know what it kind of looks like. So from my end, this is what I see. So I can see everyone's responses. I see what they said. And especially when you're having people go through, or students going through without a login, you're going to want them to put their name on this, on the written response, or you won't be able to see who is who. So if students like this one didn't put their name, you're going to say, okay, if you said this, make sure you put your name on the sliding. Students are really good about going back saying, oh, I forgot my name, and putting it in real fast. I mean, I even have my third graders doing this. They're able to do this. So this is something that is very feasible for really any grade level, in my opinion, can do this. And then we'll move on to our next slide. This is now the multiple choice slide. So now this is a different option, a multiple choice. So I just have a question, what's your favorite genre? So you can go through and you can answer this question. You can just click what's your favorite genre of the ones I presented. These aren't all the genres, but maybe some that you'll like. And then again, as you are responding, I can see everybody's responses. So I can see, and you can even, students can go back and change their responses if maybe they didn't pick the right one, so they can go back and fix their mistakes. Or if you're doing it just as a survey question, they can go in and change it. So I see realistic fiction is 6, science fiction 2, fantasy 2, mystery 5. I would definitely be in the mystery category because mystery, in my opinion, is like the best. Informational 2, and historical fiction. So even having a discussion, and I can show you guys kind of my side and what this looks like as well, so you guys can see from the teacher side of what it looks like. Even having students look at this data and have them discuss it, like, okay, well, what did we notice? What kind of things are we seeing here with this data? And I mean, that could even be a discussion point. So this can be really used as an interactive tool for surveys, discussion, those kind of things. So, and that's what I've used it for in the past, is kind of doing survey questions or those kind of things to get even to see what they know already and prejudging kind of what's going on in the classroom. So
Lindsay, can Annie had a question about in the chat about can students see each other's responses?
No, they can't see others' responses, but again, you can show your screen, so then students can go back, or students can be looking at your screen and going through and looking, but no, they can't see each other's. But there are different tools I will be showing you where students will be able to respond to each other. So I will show you some different tools where you can do that. All right, perfect. All right, so we'll move on to our next slide here. So this is another option, is doing numbers. So I know there's maybe some math teachers out here. So this is just one simple way of doing it. So you can do a number response where students have to respond with some sort of number. So like, what is 37 minus 15? Students can respond then with a number response. So this is just another kind of way of doing it as well. A different kind of way to respond through Pear Deck. Hide that. And then I will show you quickly what it looks like from the teacher side so you guys can see what that looks like as well. So this kind of shows you all the answers. Everyone's answered 22. But there, if others other various answers, they would be everywhere among here to see kind of the different responses. So you guys could even have those discussions. And it doesn't say who answered what, which I mean, I think is kind of nice because I don't want students to feel like anxious and stuff in case they didn't get the right answer of those things. So it changes as students are changing their answers too. So students can even change it as they go, be like, oh, I made a mistake, and go back and change it. For my district, we do a lot of number talks. So this would be something we could do for the number talk of answering and then changing their answers as the discussion has changed. So, all right.
Lindsay, Annie is asking again too, does Pear Deck have their own slides? And because she noticed that you might have imported slides from Slides Mania template, but she wants to know if Pear Deck has their own slides to use.
Slide templates, yes. Pear Deck does have slide templates on their website. So they have slides that they recommended. I've made my own slideshows. Like I've just literally made my own slides. You can make your own slideshow. You can use their slide templates. You can use whatever you want as long as it's through Google Slides. So you can use whatever kind of slides you want. You can create your own, or you can go through their slide templates in case you want them to help you with kind of how to structure your slideshow. Perfect. All right, we'll move on to our next slide here. All right, so another tool that can be integrated into this is Padlet. So Padlet is another, obviously another kind of website you can use. So Padlet is an online virtual bulletin board where students and teachers can collaborate, reflect, share links, pictures, and use sticky notes. And this again can be integrated right into Pear Deck, which is really nice because again, those too many tabs issue where students are losing things and not knowing where to go, and it gets overwhelming for students. So I like it that it's right integrated into Pear Deck, and you can do that through website. So I put that in the corner. If you're using the website tool, you just will go through and share the link on Pear Deck, and you'll have a virtual tool they can use, and you can see everything in real time of what they're doing. And I can kind of show you how Pear Deck the Padlet works. So let me share my screen with you guys before, in case you don't know. So there's the plus sign down here, which some people are already doing this. The plus sign is how you add a new sticky note to it. You can put in a heading or your name, and then you write something. So this says name and share other interactive tools you used. So I would put Lindsay here, and then I could say, I'll just put Pear Deck on here. There we go. And then also, if you hit this little plus sign, there are different ways you can upload files. You can link URLs. You can do Google searches on here and put images on the Padlet, using a camera, using videos, voice, record your screen, do a doodle. There's lots of different options on Padlet. And what I've used it with for students is responding to different stories or having them keep track of things they've been reading. So if they're reading a book, this is how they're interacting. They do sticky notes on Padlet, and they'll do different responses of what they noticed, what they wondered, what they're shocking to them. This is a really cool tool because instead of using sticky notes and putting it inside their books, I have them use the Padlet, which is really nice for them to be able to keep track of what they've noticed throughout a book that they've been reading. So this is just a different way I've used it. And they can even put in images and those kind of things as they're reading to kind of share what they're thinking. All right. So that is one tool that you can use. Another tool is Concept Board. So this one is really nice. This I think is a great tool if you don't want to pay for the premium for Draw. This is an online interactive whiteboard where you can collaborate with each other. So you're going to be all on one whiteboard, and there is going to be an activity. So I'll kind of share. Oh, I'm still sharing. So that works out great. I forgot I was still sharing. Let me go to Concept Board here. So you guys should be on the Concept Board slide, but I will show you kind of how this works. So Concept Board is that interactive whiteboard. Once you get in, you're going to hit guest, and you'll have to put in your first name and last name, or just first name, however you want your students to be able to do it. And you will be on my article. What you can do on this article is you will be able to highlight. So the highlighting tool is here. You can pick whatever color you want to. And then you can go ahead and highlight the article. So I have a lot of students using this for highlighting different articles and sharing what they think. You can use a sticky note tool, which is here. You can do whatever color, you click on there, and you can go ahead and write your noticing. So I normally do this with text features. I have students identify text features in an article. So they go through and highlight what they notice, and then they'll identify the text features with sticky notes. They have templates on Concept Board that you can use. I could even have students do group work. Like if I wanted to do this article, I could put this article like maybe 3 times in here, or do 3 different articles if I want to differentiate. And I would assign students, okay, you're in charge. Your group's going to do article 1. Your group's going to do article 2. Your group's going to do article 3. And they could all be working on this article inside a Concept Board, and I can see everything everybody is doing. So I can see all their work in real time as they are working, which is really nice for me, because then I can see, hey, you know, what's your group thinking when you guys highlighted this, or what was your group thinking when you did this? So it's really nice for that discussion piece and making sure I know what they're doing, and I can even checking in on them as they're going. So if you can put in sticky notes if you want, if you guys just want to play around, highlight, underline, do what you want, so you guys can kind of feel more confident with using this. But this tool I feel like is really nice to use with students. And I would normally put them into breakout rooms so they have that privacy to be able to discuss, and then they could be working on this so they're all in one document together. And it's really nice because, again, there is no login. They can just get right into it. So I don't have to worry about time being wasted from having to log in through their emails when students forget their emails. So it's really nice that way to be able to be used. And again, this is free, completely free. So it's a really nice tool to be able to use. So for that purpose. And I see so many people highlighting, using beautiful squiggly drawing on the side. Perfect. So this is another tool, again, perfect. So then we will go back to the slideshow here, because that's just one other tool, Concept Board. And then the last tool, Flipgrid. So Flipgrid is a tool, which, I mean, many of you probably have heard of. It's creating discussion of a topic, sharing it with your learning, with the community. Learners record short videos, and you could share it with the class. Again, this can be integrated right into your Pear deck. So this could be used as a synchronous, asynchronous activity. So if you wanted students to record, they would go in, they would hit the plus sign and record. So actually, I'll go on to Flipgrid here. So this is from my side. So recording a response, the only thing that has changed, which I noticed, which is kind of interesting, I just found this out a few days ago. Before you could just share the Flipgrid and students didn't need to log in. Apparently they've changed their permissions where students now need a login, even if you do it as a guest, which is kind of new. I didn't know this, but apparently they just changed this a little while back. So students do, no matter what, need a login. So they would have to use a login on this. So I would probably recommend that this maybe be more of an asynchronous activity compared to a synchronous activity, just because students are needing to use logins, and that could take a lot of time if you're having students not knowing their emails or not knowing their passwords. But if they do, then this could definitely be something they do. But based on the article response, they could do what is the main idea of the article, use evidence to prove your thinking, and then I would have the students actually respond to each other so they can go through and watch each other's videos and respond to each other that way. So if I was to join with my Google account here, perfect. So this is just kind of what Flipgrid looks like. It has you on video. You hit the video button, you can use different effects. So I could do emojis, frames, use a board here, change my background to share something. Like if I want to teach you something, I could do that. There's lots of different options on Flipgrid. You can actually modify the response time as well. So if you only want students to, let's say, only have 2 minutes to respond to something, you could set the time for a 2-minute video, or you can make it up to, I think it's up to 5 or 10 minutes. I'm not sure which one, but I know there's a limited time you can do. So you can change the times on it. And then students can respond to each other as well, which is really nice. If you want to have students respond, which I normally would do, I would have students respond to each other's videos to say whether they agree or disagree, or maybe even share their ideas in writing. So this is just another tool that could be integrated into Pear Deck as well as Flipgrid for video responses. And a lot of my students like the video. They say they don't like video to respond by video, but they do a lot of the time. They'll say, oh, I don't like seeing myself on video. And then they're like having a blast on the video. So normally kids say they don't like it, but they actually do like it, in my opinion. So that is another tool that can be used.
Lindsay, Janet was asking with Concept Board, Can students ruin what you put on the concept board, or is it safe?
Nope, it is completely safe. They cannot ruin anything. You gave them, it's depending on the privilege you give them. So I gave you reviewer privilege, so they can't go through and do anything on there that's going to destroy anything. They can't destroy anything. They can't touch anything I have placed on there. If you were to give them the editing privileges, then yes, they would be able to go through and delete things and do that. But if you give them reviewer privilege, then no, they cannot delete or do anything to your concept board.
And Lindsay, in your experience, how does something like concept board compare to like Jamboard?
Jamboard cannot be integrated into Pear Deck. That's the reason I've used concept board. I've tried it, and I even tried it again recently. I just did it actually 2 days ago because I was like, oh, maybe I could put Jamboard into my Pear Deck, and maybe they've upgraded their settings. But no, unfortunately, you still cannot put Pear Deck or Jamboard into Pear Deck. So I've kind of stuck with concept board. So that's my reasoning behind it. I think Jamboard's still great. I use Jamboard on other things, but for when I'm using it virtually and doing like a Pear Deck, I will use concept board just because it can be integrated and students aren't having to go to 20 different places. It just makes it easier for the transition and flow of the class. So
awesome. And is there a revision history in concept board?
I am not quite sure on that one, actually. I'll look into it, but I'm not quite sure if there is a revision history. You can see like history of what people have done. I will look into that though, but I'm not positive.
Okay. Thank you, Lindsay.
Yep, not a problem. And then just on here, I have tutorial videos in case you need help with things on how to do things. I have the Pear Deck tutorial. I have other help videos with Pear Deck, how to embed videos. So with videos, it's a little interesting. When you embed them into Pear Deck, you can't just put the URL. Like I can't just take the website off of YouTube and put it on there. There's an embedded video that you have to do through like YouTube. And I can show you guys that real fast. It's really not that hard, but that's the way you put it into Pear Deck. So actually I can show you guys that real fast because there's a little bit of time left. So let's say I wanted to put this video, my Pear Deck video, into it. You have to click, and instead of copy video URL, you want to copy embedded code. So that's the one you want. So whenever you want to put a video, you have to find the embedded code to put into Pear Deck. So that's just kind of an interesting little difference. You can't just put in a URL. I wish they would change that, but they haven't. So that's what they're expecting you to do. And this is what it looks like from the teacher side. So this is a Google add-on. So you go to tool or add-ons, and then you'll go to Pear Deck, which is something you've added on. Again, it's free. You open Pear Deck, and this is what it looks like on my end. So you have your buttons here. So ABC is where it's the written response. Choice is where it's multiple choice. There's the number option. This is the website. So this is how you integrate other kinds of tools into your Pear Deck, like Flipgrid or concept board or Padlet. So this is how you integrate it. So it's all in one spot. And these are the premium tools, draw and draggable. But again, if you use things like concept board, you really won't have to utilize those tools very much because those are other tools that can be integrated into it. So which is kind of nice. Adding audio to slides. This is just kind of telling you a little bit about Pear Deck and how it works. And then once you've integrated it, so let's say I wanted to, like, what's your favorite genre? All you have to do is click, and I wanted this to be a multiple choice. It gives you the options right here. So all you have to do is put in what you want your options to be, which I did. I said realistic fiction, science fiction, fantasy, mystery, and you just update your slide, and it automatically will be on this slide. So it's actually really easy to use. This is a super nice tool, easy to use, very friendly. And then this was my written response for you guys. All I had to pick, or all I had to click was ABC, and it automatically makes it that adding an interactive slide, and now it's a written response. So it's just one little click and it's interactive, which is extremely nice. Makes it really easy to make this slideshow. The way to do the interactive ones, I can quickly show you guys just because this can be a little more challenging or a little more complicated to put the other tools into Pear Deck. So to kind of put these other tools in Pear Deck, you are going to be clicking on website. And then wherever you get your codes from. So let's say I'm using my Padlet. Oh, nice. Look, I'm your sponsor. Awesome. So when you're in your Padlet, you're going to go to settings. There we go. So in your settings, it'll say copy to clipboard. So there's always a website, there's always a link that they'll give you on these to be able to put into it. So copy to clipboard, that link that it's giving you. You'll go back into your slideshow and you'll paste and just update your slide. And that automatically makes it connected to Padlet and it becomes an interactive slide where students and you will be able to see what you're doing. Same thing with concept board. Concept board, I'll show you where that is. So on concept board, right up here in the corner, it has this little link. And then this is the options. So editor means that you are creating it. They can go through and delete what you put in there. So you are the only one that needs to be the editor. They will be reviewers. So reviewer means they can go through and do the highlighting, they can put sticky notes, and they can put in text. So that would be the one you want. And then there is a link right here where you copy. You go back to your slideshow. Again, you do the website and you just paste in that link. And it updates the slide. And on Flipgrid, I don't know why they changed their permission, which made me really upset because I thought it was awesome that students could just go in, so it makes it not as friendly. It's still something I think is a cool tool. I've seen a lot of teachers do awesome things with Flipgrid. Like Sharon just did a instruction how she had her students read poetry on the on Flipgrid. They read their dramatic poetry that they created, and it turned out amazing. So I really wish they would have kept the link on there that they could just go by link. It makes it easier for younger students especially, but I still think Flipgrid's a great tool to use, but it probably would be better now instead of doing synchronously. I would probably recommend doing asynchronously just because of that reasoning where the students can log in, because logging in takes a little bit of time. So unless your students are very fluent with being able to log in, that's probably what I would recommend here. And I think that is mostly everything I have for the slideshow and the tools. So hopefully you learned something on this. So you've learned about new tools or about online learning. I'm hoping you'll be able to keep your kids engaged. They won't have too many tabs. And I hope this creates more time for you in your remote setting, especially with my high school teachers that I'm going remote. Oh my goodness, and the lack of time in 3 days. I know that's a lot. So hopefully this may be some tools you could use to make it engaging and fun for your kids so we can all have them engaged and enjoy learning. So is there any other questions in the chat? I'll stop sharing here.
I think there will be. I think.
Go ahead, Troy.
I've got questions for you. I think there are in the chat too. I think one quick logistical question to answer the last piece here is that someone wanted the slide, so we'll give the Pear Deck link, but I think you're going to also make your whole slide deck available too.
Yep.
Right?
Oh, also, sorry, one thing I forgot with Pear Deck. So in Pear Deck, which is really neat about it, so let's say students are absent, they weren't able to attend your virtual session, you can make this an actual asynchronous slideshow, so they can go back in and do all the activities, the interactive activities within the slideshow on their own without you controlling it, which is also awesome. That was like a game changer for me, just being able to upload the slideshow and having students be able to go in and do those activities. Total game changer, which is really, really nice. So that's also a tool. That's another incentive or reason Pear Deck's really nice to use. So.
Awesome. Yeah, I'd love to see some questions in the chat, but one of the things I always like to ask teachers at a moment like this is to say, I know no 2 days are ever the same, but could you kind of give us the picture of a week? Like, what would it look like from your students' perspective from Monday to Friday? Like, when would they be using tools? How often would they be using tools? What would you be expecting of them in the ways that they're using the tools? Like, so what would a normal week look like for your students in the way that they might experience what you've shared with us tonight? Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, it definitely makes sense. So when we went remote in March, I was actually in the middle of teaching a choose your own adventure to my students. So they were actually going to be able to create their choose your own adventures. So kind of the way I utilize this, and we kind of created, we first went through and read different choose your own adventures. So I had the students actually going through and doing Google slideshows, and they were actually watching and looking at different choose your own adventures I created. And we did it through Pear Deck. So they were interactive. The students could be responding to like the different things they noticed. They could do their questions. So like I said, I do a lot of the notice and wonders. So students would be able to, after one slide, we'd say, okay, what did you notice? What did you wonder about this page of our Choose Your Own Adventure? What's something we should include in ours? And the students be going through and responding in the chat or responding in the Pear Deck and sharing what they noticed and they wondered. Then I would actually have them create a paragraph on their own of what they would want their Choose Your Own Adventure to be. So that's kind of what we kind of did throughout the time. And then different asynchronous activities I had the students do were kind of like the post-it notes. So I'd have them go back and say, okay, on let's say Padlet, I want you to read this page on your own, and I want you to share one thing you noticed, one thing you wondered on your own. So they would be doing different asynchronous activities using like Padlet. Or I had the students go through and say, okay, what animal did you choose and why? And I want you to respond to one other person and share what animal you chose for your Choose Your Own Adventure. And I want you to respond to somebody else and share about or what you've noticed or what you wondered and those kind of things. So I just kind of did many different activities throughout the time, and I used a lot of different things, trial and error, throughout the time. I use Google Docs quite a bit for students to make graphic organizers. So they actually went through and did different graphic organizers with the Choose Your Own Adventure, just so we could structure it. So when they created their Choose Your Own Adventures on Google Slides, it was organized, and I was able to check through to make sure they did things correctly or edit and do the revisions and those things. So I don't know if that fully answered your question, Troy, but that's kind of what I did kind of synchronously and asynchronously throughout the remote time. So
I think that's great. I always appreciate hearing teachers just kind of describe, hey, I'm using this tool in this way at this time and this tool in this way. And you've got more questions in the chat, so I'll be quiet. But no,
Megan, just a couple of things. First of all, or not Megan, sorry, Lindsay, just a couple of things. Megan and I had mentioned that, and we kind of want to put this out to the participants. If you want to see this Choose Your Own Adventure, you need to tap Lindsay on the shoulder and see if she'll share it with you. It's amazing. So it's pretty awesome. It's a great thing to see. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely take a look at that. And I was just going to point out one of the questions in the chat was, and I'm interested in it too, was Megan's question about, does it take longer to create a Pear Deck presentation than it would for just a typical one in slides or PowerPoint?
No, it takes, like I said, it literally took that 2 seconds to make that slide interactive. It's literally just the click of a button and it's interactive. I would honestly tell you, I experienced it. It like doesn't take any time at all. That's why I was so okay with like doing it, just because I'm like, wow, this doesn't take any time to literally click a button and it's literally interactive, and the kids can interact. Even like the students, like it literally was a game changer for my kids. They're like, are we going to do this in school? Like, can we do this like all the time with Pear Deck? Like Pear Deck's so fun. I still have kids talking about it. We went remote for a week during this time, and they still ask me like, Miss Young, we should do another Pear Deck. Like we should just do that. It's really fun. They just enjoyed it so much, and it made it worth it just because their engagement level went from 0 to 100, just because they were able to do that little interaction and that communication within the classroom. So. But yes, I don't mind sharing the Choose Your Own Adventure. I can totally share that out. If you guys want to share that out, or if you want to hear more about it, I'm happy to talk with you about it. And the kids really enjoyed it. So.
Carol had a question about how can I change or adapt slides I've already created in Google Slides into a Pear Deck?
Perfect. Let me share my screen with you guys. All right, so once you sign up for Pear Deck, I did provide the link on the slideshow. So when you're going up here to the different online tools, if you click on this, it'll instantly bring you to Pear Deck where you can sign up for it. You're going to go to teacher login. And I already have an account, so it's already on here. So once you go on here, you have the add-ons, and this will show you your different sessions and those things. But you will sign up for it. Once you sign up for it, it'll automatically download to Pear Deck. So once you've done it and you've signed up like I did on here, it'll automatically show up on Google Slides. So like I didn't have to do anything. Once I signed up here, I went to my Google slide and I went to my add-ons and it instantly showed up Pear Decks for Google Slides. And all you had to do is open it up and then it's all right here. It was like an instant kind of thing. So once you sign up on the website, you'll go back to here to the add-ons and it will be here. So you'll see Pear Deck for Google Slides, open Pear Deck, and you'll have these choices of being able to make all the slides interactive. And then for your sessions too, just because this was a learning curve for me, figuring things out, all your sessions that you do are here. So like I had to go through about like 20 times revising things. The only thing that I wish they wouldn't do is once you've created a session, you can't go back and change your slideshow. So you'll have to create a new session if you changed anything. And I obviously went back quite a few times and changed things because that's what I did. And that's what I do normally. So you have to create a new technically link or a new link when to share out when you've made changes. So this will show you the different sessions. So right now, this is the live session. This is how you can make it, open it back up. So if you want to close it, you can close it so students can't go back in or open it back up. That's how you do that. There we go. Go back here. Keeps coming up. Okay, there we go. And then you have a turn on student pace. So that'll make it so the slideshow is student paced as well. So that means they could do it asynchronously later at a different time. So if you just upload this, like we have a Google site, I would normally upload this slideshow to a Google site, and then they'd be able to go back and do it if they weren't able to attend my session. So they would get the gist of what was going on and they would be able to do the activities and it would still be in one place because I could go back and see if they did it within that student paced lesson. So this is kind of how you access that as well. So.
Any other questions for Lindsay? If anybody wants to put it in the chat, or I think we even have a few minutes if you wanted to open up your mic and you could even say something as well.
I definitely think we should play. If anyone remembers the Car Talk show, there was the segment where you had to play Stump the Chump and ask someone a question about, oh, how do you fix this thing? So ask Lindsay, like, here's what I want to do with Pear Deck in my classroom.
Totally. I was going to say, feel free. If you have an idea and you want to share it out, or I can kind of give you recommendations or anything. So I know this is a information. That's just a lot. So it sometimes takes time to process things. I get that. Like for me, especially, I'm like, okay, I just need a day just to even go through and think about how I'm going to do this and how to process it. But if you guys have any questions, please feel free to email me. I am happy to help in any possible way. I don't mind having Zoom sessions with you if you just need like me to help you with something specifically. I don't mind that at all. I'm happy to help in any possible way I can, because I know, especially just getting to it and getting all the information and can be overwhelming. So if you want to take a day to process and then kind of think about it and then come back, I understand. So again, my email is on that slideshow, which I will send, and then I will definitely put my Choose Your Adventure stuff on there as well. So you guys can see kind of what I did with that, and they're all Pear Decks as well. So they're all Pear Decks, all the Choose Your Adventure slides that I made. So the slideshows are interactive, so that's there too. So you guys are more than welcome to use any of it. I don't mind, so feel free to use that as well.
In fact, I wonder if you might even be able to pull up one of those Choose Your Own Adventure slide decks.
Absolutely.
We have a few moments, and if no one else has questions, but
Dr. Ford has her hand raised.
Oh, okay, go for it.
Hi, I have a question. So one of the things that I'm thinking through is what are the advantages of Pear Deck over some things that we've already been doing and some things that we've learned through these webinars with the CRWP. And one of the things I'm thinking about is when we analyze a mentor text, for instance, and we do that maybe in Google Docs where students might use comments to annotate. And one of the things that I'm thinking about working, especially with middle and high school students, where you might be working with a text that's a little bit longer than what you would usually fit on a Google slide. And so I wonder if you had any thought about what kinds of texts this would work better for with Pear Deck versus in a Google Doc doing those kinds of annotations of a mentor text.
Honestly, I would probably use concept board for that because you can make it as long as you want to be honest, and it also can be integrated in Pear Deck. So that's honestly my recommendation. I would probably do it that way just because the text you can highlight, comment, do whatever you want to, and students can work all within it as well. Also, you can do multiple texts within concept board as well. So if you wanted students to work in groups on a mentor task and a text and be identifying things, they can be going through and you can assign them at the top saying, okay, Johnny, Joe, and Sue, you're going to be doing, you're in group 1, you're doing this mentor text. This is what you're looking for. Group 2, Sue, Joe, and Bob, you're going to be doing article 2 and looking through, and they can zoom in, they can identify, they can highlight, comment all within that. And then there's no restriction for the Google slide. That's my recommendation. But I also like too, that it's right within it and I can see everything they're doing. I guess I just like that it's all in one place. I just makes me worried when students are going multiple places to different things. It just like trying to get them back to the slideshow. So I would use a lot of slideshows as I teach. I don't know if you do too. So like when students are going from different slides and going to different websites, it just gets really sticky and kids get lost. And then they're like, Miss Young, I can't find you. Where did you go? And they're underneath all these tabs. So that's why I kind of want, this is really nice because it's all in one place and I can integrate multiple technologies and multiple multiple different websites into this one place for students to be at, especially for 3rd grade and 4th grade. It's like a lifesaver to me. So that's what's really nice about it. So perfect.
If I can just jump in, I'm just going to say I learned about Pear Deck from Lindsay in August, and what she said about her kids saying, oh, we're so excited we're doing Pear Deck. I didn't really think that would happen. My high school kids are over the moon about Pear Deck. And I am serious. We had our first day of digital learning, and I said, okay, we're going to do a Pear Deck. And they like in the chat, they were like, woohoo, Pear Deck. They love it. I can't believe how much they love it. They love that it all comes to them and they can interact with it and they can work through things together. So thank you, Lindsay. This has been awesome.
Oh, not a problem.
I have a question. I put it in the chat too. Like, can you record yourself teaching the Pear Deck and then have kids access like the recording? And can you record it like as you present so that you could have kids listening into the like conversation, like if you did a turn and talk or whatever during the class?
Yes, you can do that, but it wouldn't be interactive. That's the only thing. You can technically use like Screencast-O-Matic, like one of those other screencasting sites. Like you can do that and record yourself, but it wouldn't be interactive. That's the only thing. Because I haven't seen an option where you can record yourself on Pear Deck, and you could add voice though. So if you were to add voice to each slide, you could do that though. So that is an option. So if you will put like a add voice and you could have yourself teaching and doing the instruction, you could have that, students click on it, and then they'll still be able to be interactive. So that's like a recommendation, a different way of doing it. So I don't know if that's helpful, Megan.
Yeah.
Perfect. Okay.
Did you, and I came in late, so you might have already said this.
No, you're fine.
So I teach 5th and 6th, and the technology hopping is just killing me and killing them. So did you really have to walk them through Pear Deck, or just if they know how to use a Google slide, it's like should be able to navigate it? Oh.
Yes. I mean, I literally done it with 3rd graders. They instantly were fine with it. Like literally there was no teaching. It was literally like, okay, you're just going to type in this little box right here. Okay. And that's what they did. Like there was like no really teaching time, except if we were integrating other, like if I integrated Padlet or Flipgrid or Concept Board, there's teaching go along with those, but for like the written responses, the multiple choice, there was no teaching. They could instantly do it just because I push them through the slides. So I'm like, okay, friends, we're going to go on the next slide. And I click, they're going with me. There's no like, they'll have to move along with me. And really there was no teaching because they just knew how to do it. So really with 3rd graders, if 3rd graders can do it, I know 5th and 6th graders can for sure. Yeah.
Rough.
All right. Any other questions? I don't know if there are or not, so.
Question, can you embed Pear Deck into an LMS? I mean, I think you could put a link to a Pear Deck anywhere, right? I
Yeah,
don't know.
you can put a link anywhere. Yep. I was going to say you can integrate this link anywhere. It's just a normal link, and then kids will be able to instantly go right to the slideshow. And then, like I said, if you want them, you can have them log in with their, let's say, Google account if your school has Google accounts, and it will show their names. But let's say you don't. I normally don't have my students log in with a Google account because that's just one other thing they would have to do, and it takes more time. I just have the students make sure they put their names on things. So hey, put your name on number 1. Then you're going to share what you think on number 2, and it's instantly they're able to do that. So it's, again, there was no teaching time. There was no like confusion about anything. And it works with phones. It works with tech Chromebooks. It works with everything. I haven't found one thing it doesn't work with, because I was worried. I was like, okay, is this going to work on phones? Can they go to on their phone? They could do it. They could do it on their phones, on their computers, on Chromebooks. It works with all different devices, because I know students normally have multiple devices that they're using in a remote setting. Sometimes on their phones, sometimes computers, sometimes laptop. I mean, I saw various ones. So, or iPads, that was another one. They could still use this. They were still able to click and go to the Pear Deck.
I had a question real quickly. Thank you so much, Lindsay. Yeah, I wanted for, if you're not having them log in with their @.edu accounts, are you needing to do any accountability in terms of work done? So are you transferring that with names? I'm not even talking about grading, but to, you know, at least, we've been remote since August, and we are probably never going to go back. So I'm trying to come up with new ways to, you know, do more things. And so now, so I was just wondering, like, you know, to keep track of accountability in terms of, oh, who never did this, and hence they can't do that. And I have older students, so I was just wondering if how you transferred this to any other required accountability measures.
Oh, absolutely. So let's say they were doing a written response, or something along those lines. Normally my students really didn't have issues with not doing something they want to do, especially for like surveys, those kind of things. But like with the written responses, I could tell if the student wasn't doing something, because it would be like blank. And sometimes they'd ask, okay, what's your emoji today? Share with what's your emoji in the chat, and I would know what they were. So if students didn't do the activity, it's like, oh, my elephant, you haven't done this. So that's Johnny. Johnny, you haven't responded yet. What's going on, my friend? Are we having a problem? Like, is there something we need? So that's normally how I would do it, is make sure students, you know which students is who. So if it comes out as like an animal emoji on Pear Deck, you can have the students send that to you, say, hey, what's your animal today? And they would tell you, then you instantly know if they did or didn't do it. Or just by having their name. So make sure you put your name on your written response. And then if you don't have a name, say, okay, if you said this, who's the one that said that? So, I mean, it didn't take very long. And again, my elementary students were able to do it. So I know older students can. I have utmost confidence. So
yeah, it's just that the 8th graders are going through this metamorphosis of taking everything out on everybody right now.
And that makes sense. Yes, especially that middle school age. Oh man.
They love me, but it's mutiny right now. You know, they really miss their friends, and it's different. I teach 7th and 8th, and the difference between 7th and 8th.
Oh, it's dramatic.
It's like I dread opening the Google Meet for 8th, and it's not that they're lovely. It's just I can feel their anger right now. They're so angry.
They say when you're feeling across a laptop, that's extreme. I'm just saying, like, oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Oh, but yeah, that would be what I recommend, is having the students, let's say in the chat, giving you what their little emoji is for the day. And also that's just a discussion starter. Like I would normally have the students start with something like on a Google slideshow. Like I would always post a Google slideshow up, and that would just tell them what they were supposed to do for the day. So, hey, for attendance today, put what emoji you are. And then they would put it in and say, how are you feeling today? And then they would put that in, and then I was able to keep track of who's doing something, who's not, and who I'm missing too. So that was just like a little, if you don't want students to sign in with Google accounts, that's another way you could do it. So. All right, and I'm sorry, there probably isn't enough time for me to share the Choose Your Own Adventure, but if you guys want to look at that, I will definitely send that to Troy to put and Jeremy and Becky to put on the website. There's a lot in there. And if you have any questions, please, again, feel free to email me. I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have, or Zoom meeting with you guys. I'm happy to help in any possible way. So I really appreciate you all listening and you guys being here. I really appreciate it a lot. So, and we appreciate it a lot. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Lindsay. You have been a rock star as always. So we appreciate everything that you share.
Thank you all. We really appreciate you being here. Thanks for your flexibility, hopping from WebEx over to Zoom. Chances are pretty good. We're probably going to be in Zoom the rest of the year, but we'll send you emails and updates on all that. And we can hang out for a few minutes after the recording is done if anyone else has any other questions. So thanks so much. Have a good rest of your evening.